Ayo, we got 18 of the best drift cars ever made. An article written earlier this year by Slash Gear. Never heard of them, but we got an article here to look at. So, drifting as a motorsport discipline is a fairly new idea, originating in the mountain roads of Japan, yada yada. We want to know, what are the best drift cars in the world? It talks about an excellent drift car will usually have low center of gravity, be rear-wheel drive, be easy to modify and upgrade. Plus, it'll usually be affordable as drifters aren't too keen on paying huge sums for a car that's likely to end up clipping a lot of concrete barriers throughout its sporting life. We're not trying to hit concrete barriers, and if you're good, you won't. Well, maybe. Accidents do happen, even to the good guys. So let's take a look. What is drifting? We know what drifting is, right? Do I gotta read? I don't gotta read this. We know what drifting is. So first up, the Ford Mustang RTR. The Ford Mustang, one of the most best-selling sports cars, readily available nature combined with its extensive aftermarket make it an excellent candidate for a drift car. I believe this to be true with all Mustangs, not just the RTR. If it's somebody just getting into drifting, I would suggest probably a New Edge or maybe an SN95. If you don't like that old style, then maybe one of the newer ones, but all Mustangs have great aftermarket support. You get a V8 manual, send it. It does talk about the RTR being the first one that Ford made for a high level of competitive drifting, obviously with Von Gittin, but I think all Mustangs, not just the RTR. Next up, we have the S14 240. Yeah, the S14 is a fantastic drift car. This was data from Haggerty Insurance shows that 64% of insurance quotes for the S14 were flagged as modified, as opposed to 52% for the S13. I think the S13 drivers aren't just saying it to their insurance companies, because you would think an older drift car, older sports car would be more modified, being that it's things break, you upgrade them and put modified parts on it. So, but is the S14 great? Yeah, it was once very affordable, but because of the drift tax, it can go up to $20,000. Yeah, I don't think they're worth 20 grand, but they do sell for that. Some of them do. So, yeah, great drift car. Next up, E36 M3. E36, currently the cheapest generation of the BMW M3s on the used market. It is affordably has made an increasing popular option for drifters in recent years. Yeah, large aftermarket support. Agree with all of these things. The prices are rising. Yeah, but if you're into European cars, you want to get into drifting, E36, I would say, should be the first thing you get into. Just easier to work on. You don't need as much specialty tools that I hear later models of BMWs need. Just a good stepping stone. I would agree, E36. Toyota Supra MK4. On the subject of rising prices, few cars have seen their value skyrocket quite as much as the MK4 over the past few decades. Yeah. Okay, it talks about Formula D, Dan Burkett's Supra. Great example of a Supra at a competitive level doing great things. I would say it's one of the best at a high level. You don't see any MK4 Supras at a grassroots level. So is it the best as your first? No. Is it the best at a top level? For sure. Dodge Viper. The Dodge Viper isn't the easiest car to keep under control, even in stock form, but nevertheless, a few brave souls have added huge turbochargers to make more than double the car's stock power. Yeah, a few souls. It talks about a couple drivers in Formula Drift, Dean Kearney, as well as Samuel Hibbenet, Swedish driver, butchering the name. Yeah, so they can be drifted, for sure. They're rear-wheel drive, they got a lot of power, manual, but the best ever, I don't think so. I think they're great, they're unique, they're different, but in my eyes, the best drift car ever, you would see at different events, right? You wouldn't just see at one. If it's the best chassis or the best car, you would see it at different grassroots events, pro-am events. You would see it at different levels. You never see the Dodge Viper anywhere now. No. RX-7 FD, yeah, fantastic car. Talks about Tokyo Drift and the Veilside kit. 13B rodeo engine makes it a natural candidate for drifters. The sound's good. However, used prices for the car are starting to become out of reach for grassroots drifters, in part due to, once again, the drift tax. Great car, but I would say an FC is probably something that more grassroots drivers are into. You do see FDs at the track here and there at the grassroots level, but not so much. Next, we have the 350Z. Yeah, talks about ditching the cutting-edge tech and complicated systems of its predecessor, the 300ZX. This is something that, getting into cars, getting one of my first cars, I was looking at 300ZXs as well as other things, and getting into it and seeing that tech, like, I loved it, but I knew it could easily break on you. It wouldn't last very long. And where the 240 didn't have any of that, and those cars, you see a lot more, they go for a lot more because they didn't have that cutting edge tech that wasn't necessary in a sports car. The 300Z cuts all that away, and you get back to just a driver's car. You get in, you have fun, you break stuff, you could replace it. There's no complicated tech involved in it. It might be cheap, but the 350Z has potential to compete at the top level and is one of the most common cars in Formula Drift. I don't know if it's one of the most common cars in Formula Drift. Maybe at a Pro-Am level, possibly, but definitely not at the pro level. Next, the car's stock V6 is ripe for upgrading, but a 2JZ can also be easily swapped for maximum horsepower figures. Yeah, we're not talking about... That's what we were saying, any car. You could just throw anything into any car and make it drift. Yeah, but what makes it a really good drift car? I don't think a swap should make it a good drift car. Next, we have the BRZ. The BRZ and its twin, the GT86, been on sale for 10 years now, established themselves as two of the best cheap sports cars on the market. Agreed? Makes around 228 horsepower stock form, has huge aftermarket support, easily modified, comes at a fraction under $30,000 for the base spec. This, I would say, if you're just getting into the sport, you want something that's relatively newer, this is what I would suggest getting into. Maybe I would also suggest 350Z, obviously, but this is something that's a little different. 4-cylinder, smaller, different, but still good. Next, we have the Lexus IS 300. Might seem like an unusual choice. Checks all the right boxes. Rear-wheel drive. Hides naturally aspirated 2JZ GE under the hood. The same engine found in the MK4 Toyota Supra. It's not the same because it's NA. Right? So It's very affordable. Examples in good condition, selling for as little as 10 grand. Yeah, they're going up in price, but you can find them. You can find some of these that came from factory manual, but they're few and far between. I would say get one that's automatic and do a swap yourself, kind of like what I would probably do with a G35 or G37. One of the best ever. I could see it being argued for, but I wouldn't consider it as one of the best ever. Next, we got the Holden Commodore. The name might not be big in America, but the Holden Commodore holds a special place for the hearts of many Australian car fans. The Commodore has been one of the most popular models down under for decades and has held the title for Australians' best-selling car for 14 consecutive years. That's pretty dope. Has an LS V8 ready to go, rear-wheel drive, manual. I wish we got these. I wish we got these, because this would be... I personally can't say it's one of the best ever, just because, it's just in Australia, but it kind of is, man. It kind of is one of the best ever, just because we didn't get it here. Next, we have the E46 M3. Listen to this. Much like the previous generation E36, the E46 M3 has now depreciated to the point of being affordable for grassroots enthusiasts. I do not think that M3 is affordable for grassroots enthusiasts. I think you could find E46s and make them drift ready and good to go for sure. But the M3 being an affordable option, I don't see that really happening. Not uncommon for builders to engine swap their E46 with 2JZ or LS swaps. Well, here we go again with the swaps. People do swap, of course, but does that make it the best drift car ever? I don't think so. Next, we have the Silvia S15 Spec R. Not much to say. I mean, I'm not going to read all this. So we got an SR20. They're at the competitive level. It does say here, the Silvia currently most popular car among pro drivers in the Japanese D1 GP Championship, with 10 drivers running the car in the 2022 season. Yeah. But here, we saw the S14. What do you think is going to happen with a better updated model? Yeah. It's going to be one of the best. I would agree with that. Next, we have the RX-8 Mazda. My boy Stefan would agree with this, but one of the best ever? I don't think so. You just don't see him as much, right? You don't see him. There's one in pro level, right? And then I rarely see them, besides I rarely see them at grassroots events, which just kind of shows me that they're not the best, right? If they would be the best, you would see them a lot. People would use them a lot. They'd be around. All right, let's read into it. So, RX-8 decided to take things back to basics, giving naturally aspirated version. This means the car felt slower in real world, even though on paper it had similar horsepower figures, according to Top Gear. Continue, yada yada. Anyone who still needs convincing should take a look at Mad Mike's Bad Bull RX-8, which made 800 horsepower. Yeah. But not everyone has the budget like Mad Mike. You take a look at any of his cars and they're sick. But come on. You want some inspiration? RX-8 is your choice. You're going to go for it. Then yeah. Take a look at his car. But as one of the best ever, or as somebody to get into one, Corolla AE86. It already had a reputation as a great drift car throughout the sport's early days. Talks about Initial D. Talks about Tsuchiya, nicknamed Drift King. Yeah, with the Drift Bible, he used one of these. Maybe I'm biased. These are one that you, I guess, do have to swap, but it's just been done for so long since the 80s that I would consider one of these the best drift cars ever. And there's not much reason why. It's stylish. It could do the job. They used to be so affordable, not so much anymore. Next up, we got the Miata. One of the best ever? I'd go back and forth on that. It depends what you consider the best. It is affordable, plenty of cheap, use examples, great aftermarket. I mean, you slap a turbo on one of these, you rip, or don't slap a turbo on one and really just full send it the whole time. Talks about great competitive drift car in the right hands. Talks about swapping Cummins diesel or LS. Yeah, in the right hands like Taylor Ray. Okay, yeah, great competitive drift car, but you don't see too many Miatas at a competitive level. But grassroots, great car, a little too small for my liking, although I would consider an NB. And the NCs are growing on me. I've seen some cool NC builds that I'm like, all right. Next up, we got the S13. All right. S13, S14, S15. Why don't we just put all those together into the 240? Yeah, not much to say. Great drift car. I owned them. I liked them, but they're just old. They're old, so they're turning into rust buckets, and they're still expensive because they're highly coveted. So, one of the best ever, I would agree. One of the best drift cars to get in right now, I would disagree with. Talks about the SR, the KA, yada yada, drift car, sought after. Yeah, one of the most sought after drift cars. Next up, we got the Toyota Soarer Lexus SC300. You don't see too many of these. This is tough to debate on. Let's see what it says here. The SC naturally aspirated version of the 2JZ. Once again, the same engine as in the MK4 Supra. While the twin turbo version never offered in the Soarer or SC, the JDM Soarer was also available with the 1JZ. So here in America, we just got the NA. We didn't get nothing cool, but a lot of aftermarket support, making it an ideal candidate for a drift missile. He's hitting all the right buzzwords. I don't know if this is AI or if this is somebody that's like kind of into drifting, you know? Supra's now have risen in price, but anyone who can find a nice sorted Soarer will have equally bulletproof engine. That's true. You just don't see it. Then why don't you see too many people doing them? That's what I'm curious about, because I never loved them. I never necessarily wanted one, but I did see. Yeah, it's like the IS. It's got a JZ in it, but I see more ISs out on the track or just driving in general than I see SC300s. They are older, but you still see older cars from the 90s drifting and driving. I wonder why aren't more people driving SCs? And number 18, number 20, whatever, this is the last one. We have the Skyline R32. So, talks about the GTR being a bad candidate for drifting because of the four-wheel drive system, as well as being incredibly expensive. But buying the R32 GTST or the GTS solves those problems. I don't think it solves... they're cheaper than the GTR, but they're still expensive in 2025. I don't think it'd be the ideal candidate for somebody getting into drifting. I think maybe if it's your favorite car ever and you've been in drifting and you want to build something wild, go for it. But if you're getting into drifting, I wouldn't suggest drifting one of these. They're affordable enough to buy with plenty of tuning potential and probably won't bankrupt their owner if they clip a wall or blow an engine while drifting. It's funny they talk about blowing engines because it's an RB. I feel like that would bankrupt somebody that doesn't know what's going on. So, in conclusion, some of these cars I don't think should be on the list. I would have taken the Viper out and put the Corvette in. You see those at the top level of drifting all the way to grassroots, Corvettes, C5, C6s. That's one I would have added to the list and taken out the Viper. And the RTR, I would take out the RTR and just put it any Mustang. I don't think the RTR makes the best drift car ever, but I think the Mustang in general is a good platform to drift with. If we took all the 240s into one, that would have given some space for some other cars. As much as I love the Commodore, I don't know. No, I'll leave it on the list. Fuck it. Leave it on the list. But say the Soarer, I feel like I see, even here in America, I see more people with JZX90s, JZX100s, Chasers, like JDM cars that people in Japan definitely drift, and people in America are drifting as well. I see more of those at events than I do an SC300 or an RX-8, really. All in all, good list. What would you take off the list, or what would you add to the list? I want to know down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll catch you on the next one, fam. Peace.